Fingerstyle Thursday. Hello. So today we're talking about one of my favourite fingerstyle patterns, which is always based on our standard arpeggios, but including hammer-ons. So including hammer-ons in a picking pattern, especially like this, gives your right hand a break, or you can start to include notes that sound like you're playing faster. So either way, right hand wins. So that's the great thing about them. So hammer-ons. And then in the nerdy theory kind of thing, we have bars of 2/4, so bars with only 2 beats to talk about. But the biggest thing is that this piece is in what we'd call C Lydian mode. Now, Sammy, those are some scary words that you just said. One, Lydian, and the other one, what is a mode? So we're going to have a little talk about that right now. Right, so first question, what is a mode? Now, a mode is basically, it's just another name for a scale, but modes typically come from, it comes from a degree of a scale. Now, that all sounds very scary, but if I played a G major scale, I have the notes G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. I go from G to G, and that is my standard G major scale. Now that is also called an Ionian mode, and it's because basically it's playing all the notes from note number 1 back to number 1. From G to G, that's an Ionian mode. Now a Dorian mode is where I would basically play, I'd start on note 2, which is A. So I'd go on A and I'd play my G major scale, but from A. And that is an A Dorian scale. These continue. For example, if I played B, so start from my 3rd note of the scale, that's technically called a B Phrygian mode. Now, the Lydian mode is basically where we start from the 4th note, our 4th degree of our scale. So in the key of G, that is a C. So basically, it just means you can look at it as 2 ways. One, I'm playing all the notes of a G major scale, but I'm starting on a C. So I'm going C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. And that is called a Lydian mode, just for that. Now the other way to look at it is you can look at it, the Lydian is a little bit easier because you can just look at it as you have a major scale, but you sharpen the 4th note. So typically in C, C, D, E, F, we have an F natural. So if you sharpen that to an F sharp, you get your C Lydian mode. Now, all these things exist basically just to give you new sounds. And the Lydian is one of my favorites because a sharp 4, or we call that a sharp 11, depending on what we're doing, is basically, it just adds a bit of tension. Because it really sounds like it wants to go somewhere. So it adds a lot of tension onto whatever you're listening to. And that's why I enjoy it very much, but a lot of people might find it quite stressful and be like, oh, fucking hell, no, I really don't like the sound of that. Music is subjective. You like it, you don't like it, it's absolutely fine. But anyway, so that is our Lydian, and that is basically how I'm thinking throughout this piece. Everything is revolved around a C chord, and then basically at times I'm really highlighting that F sharp, but always returning to a C chord. All right, Sammy, shut up. Just tell us how to play it. Cool. Okay, so our first chord that we're going to look at in the piece is sort of a C major 7. Now, what I would like you to do is play the 7th fret on the 2nd string, and I'll play it with your ring finger. Now, this is going to be a hammer-on, so we're going to put our index finger on the 5th fret behind that same string. So it's always a good idea to start with both fingers on there, because then you're ready. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to pinch the third and fourth string, the C and the E strings, and we're going to hammer on the second string from 5 to 7, which is technically 1 E, 2/16 notes. So don't rush that hammer on, okay? 1 E. After we've done that, we're going to leave that 7 there, and we're going to do a typical ukulele arpeggio, 3, 2, 4, 1, and then going to add 4 as well. So we have this hammer, and that's our pattern. So if we break that down slower, I'm going to pinch 3 and 2 for the hammer, and then play 3, 2, 4, 1, 4. Rhythmically, I'm going 1 E and 1 E and 2 E and 1 E and 2 E and again I'm just keeping that 7 down there, 1 E and 2 E and. Now for the next part, all I'm going to do is move that index finger over to the first string, and then I'm going to pinch the first and third strings together, and then as soon as I've done that pinch, I'm going to do the same little arpeggio that I just did, 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, but I've removed that index finger. So that index finger is only there for the pinch, and then we have our little arpeggio to finish. So when we played the hammer on, we had 2/16 notes, 1 E. Now when we did pinch, that is going to be an 8th note, so it will last the same as 2/16. So technically that is going 3 E and 4 E and. So the length of that pinch is the same length that you had for 2 notes earlier, and that's why we're basically on the other end, we're gaining an extra note by doing the hammer on, but our right hand is technically doing the same motion for both parts. So let's take our first one, 1 E and 2 E and then we have 3 and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and. So that might take a little practice just to start with. So we're going to play that for 2 bars actually, so we're going to play that twice around. 1 E and 2 E and 3 and E and again. Then what we're going to do is we're going to jump to the 4th fret 3rd string. I don't really mind actually what finger this is. You can either use, I either recommend using your ring finger and then your index finger for the 2nd fret where we're about to jump to on the 3rd string, or just using your middle finger to sort of move between the 2, or index finger to move between the 2. No real big difference. But basically what we're going to do is jump to that 4th fret and play a nice little arpeggio. So 3, 2, 4, 1, and then go straight to 2, 3, 2, 4, 1, and do that same. They're 16ths, so we're going 1 E and 2 E and actually that's the end of the bar, because on the sheet it says a 2 and a 4, and that basically means that that bar is only worth 2 beats. So you're done. Now, why would you use a shorter bar? So there's lots of musical reasons, but for me it just creates a little bit of a more interesting feel, almost like the next section is pushed a little bit. So it comes a little bit sooner than you think, but again, it's just my stupid opinion. Right, so once we've done that, we come to the next riff, which actually has the same idea as the previous riff. So this time we're going to hammer on from the 1st string. So it'll be the 5th fret to 7th fret on the 1st string. And we're still going to pinch 1 and 3. And then we're going to play our arpeggio. We're going to leave our ring finger down there. So still the same. And then we're going to slide up to the 9th fret. So I'll take both fingers with you like that. Pinch. And then we play our arpeggio like that. Okay, so rhythmically that's actually exactly the same as our first part. Because we're going 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and. So basically we have the hammer that introduces 1 extra note. And then we have the pinch, which is more relaxed. But either way, your right hand always does the same. So it's one of my most favorite things, as I said, it's one of my favorite patterns, is to basically include at least 1 hammer on, and then not a hammer on. Because rhythmically it makes the two different, but your right hand never does anything different. So, clever. Okay, right, so once we've done that twice, we're actually going to go to these shapes here, which are octaves. Now, if you're familiar with fingerstyle Thursdays, you encountered these before, but if not, let's have a little talk about them. Now, an octave is a 2-note little, you can't really call it a chord, it's just it's basically the same note. So this is an E, and this is an E an octave higher. Hence why they're called octaves, because generally they're played only as there's 2 notes. Oh, hello. Like that. They have quite a cool sound, but in certain keys I like mixing them with the open notes, because you can get sort of ominous chords. So we're going for what is essentially an E minor octave, well, an E octave here. So I'm on the 7th fret on the 3rd string with my index finger, and then the octave is always, basically you skip a string, go to the 1st string, and it's 3 frets higher. So I've got 7 and 10. We need to bridge those fingers just to make sure that we can reach the open notes and keep them clear. I lied to you previously, that's obviously not an E, is it? That's a G. So that's a G octave. It's because on the sheet I've written E minor / G, I was thinking of the chord. So that is a G octave anyway, because that's a G note, and that's a G note. There we go. Right, cool. So basically we're going to play the same arpeggio that we did here, down here, which was actually on the E. We're going to play that here on the G, and then we're going to move this entire shape just down a fret. So we've got 6 and 9. Okay, so we're still going to keep the opens, and basically this time we've got an F sharp and an F sharp, which is our sharp 4, sharp 11 from the Lydian Mode. So there we go. 1 E and 2 E and A. So from that, 1 E and 2 E and A. And then on the sheet we have a repeat, so we have to go do everything again. Okay, so once you've done everything again, or if you can't be asked, just don't do it. Just do it once, that's absolutely fine. So once we get back to these octaves again, how I end the piece is going to C♯9, which is the 5th fret on the 1st string. Middle finger seems the most appropriate for that chord, but index, whoever you fancy. And I'm going to arpeggiate him exactly the same that I'm arpeggiating these. So I'm going 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1. Leave it there. You could also strum it. That'd be a suitable ending too. That would really work. Okay, I hope this has been helpful and I hope you enjoyed it. Over on Patreon you can get all the tabs, and also I do monthly lessons where I talk about lots more theory things like this and also technique. So go have a look, maybe consider. Love you, goodbye.